Alright guys, what we got here today is a KitchenAid 7-quart food processor. My wife is using it, and all of a sudden it just kind of conked out and stopped working completely. So I kind of started troubleshooting it. Now I've already done the fix for this, but I want to just go through how I did the repairs, because I've seen a lot of reviews online that talk about the issues that go on with this particular one. Excuse the mess on my bench. I was working on another project, so I'm gonna have to get back to that later. I just wanted to get this done. So first things first, how you checked was the safety switch that's located here. There's a little indentation right in here. If you push that down, that could prevent the food processor from turning on. So I did that, and then I pressed the on and off buttons, and it still didn't do anything. So I figured, okay, let's start taking it apart. So to take apart this unit, what we're going to have to do is flip it upside down. What I recommend doing is putting a cloth underneath. The first time I did it, I scratched the heck out of this, so not good. So I've already destroyed it, so no one's going to see it. Flip it upside down. I want to grab a larger number 2 screwdriver, Phillips head. We'll start pulling these off. As always, make sure the device is unplugged before you start messing around with this stuff. This is a project definitely not for the novice, but if you have a basic understanding and some basic soldering skills of electronics and stuff, it's pretty straightforward. So from here we'll pull the bottom off. Let's uncoil this a little more. Alright, so there's the innards. So just kind of show you guys the basics around here. This is a motor. This has some kind of magnet on the back, which does some speed control and some nonsense. This is all your buttons, so we don't need to really go in here at all. This is all your controller board, and this is your safety switch. So if we look way down in here, you'll see 2 screws. If you need to replace that safety switch for some reason, you can do that. I don't know if KitchenAid supports these parts, but that's if you were to do that. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to look way down in there, and there's 1 screw that pulls this board off. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and we'll remove that screw down there. This one is good if you have a magnetic screwdriver to help pull it out, but I don't even... Mine is magnetic and it ain't working too easily. Let's see. No, we're just going to leave it. Something that's definitely going to make this easier, let's remove this red wire right down in here with a little flat plate. Alright, so we'll take this, unscrew it, we'll pop off this little lead here, and that's that. So we go down in here, and now we'll kind of wiggle this guy out of here. Alright, and we'll just pull this screw off before we lose it. And we'll flip this up like that. And now what you'll see here are these 4 screws that we have to pull off because we need access to the other side of this board. So we'll go ahead and do that. Always try to keep track of your screws so you don't end up losing them. It's not a huge deal if you were to mix these up because they're all largely the same. I'm sure I have the wrong screws in here. Just make sure you keep track of the correct ones. Oops, and don't drop them. But I will shake that out later. Here's your circuit board. Once again, when you're doing this, make sure it's not plugged in. So, after I took this whole thing apart, I found out and troubleshooted it down here. I should have checked here first. I looked for fuses, but I was looking for a standard like glass fuse, but this is labeled F1, so that was our fuse right down in here. So what you got to do is this thing usually blows, and you can do a double check on that, you know, if you have a multimeter. So let me grab that and we'll do a quick check. Get that out of the way. Trusty multimeter. Put it to the little bleepy thing. Check to make sure she does the bleeps. And then look at where that fuse location is here. And find the 2 spots on the back side where the trace lies. Now, I've already replaced this, so I'm going to put it here. And there's continuity. So if you measure here and you get no bleeps, then you know that fuse is blown. So we'll get you a closer look in here on that fuse location. It's here and here. So these are the 2 you have to attack. So what we're gonna have to do next is we need to go in here with the soldering iron and put a little heat here and here and lift up one leg at a time and pull it out. I'm going to do it anyways just to give you guys a quick view on how I do this. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and remove this fuse. Set my iron to 700 degrees, which is a good temperature, 650 to 700 depending on the tip you got on it. And we'll just, you know, we'll put a little added solder to the tip of the iron right here. Don't use plumbing solder, always use electrical solder. And you know, we'll add a little bit on. So there. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll put our little fingers behind it here, and we're going to pull and pry at it. Don't force it, you'll feel it slowly pull out. If you get as far as you can on one side, then hit the other side and lift it up. Oops. And it came out, look at that. So there's our fuse. Now, I put a link for the replacement fuse in the bottom of this video. Always double check that is the correct fuse. So if you look closely, you'll see this one says Bell, BEL T4A. I've looked it up and found the exact replacement I needed. So next step is you're going to have to now clean those holes so you can get a new one back in it. I'm just going to put this one back in it, but normally you'd put a new one back in to have longer leads. You put it back in, resolder it, and that'd be all. So we'll do this, get it flowing, clean these guys up. This is probably the hardest part of the job, is just making sure the holes are nice and clean so you can get everything back through. But the way this board's designed, it's actually done a really nice job of just sucking the solder right out. Now, I'm planning to reach out to KitchenAid, because this clearly seems like a common problem from some of the reviews I've seen online. And it's a shame that a lot of people are probably just throwing these away when it's either engineered with the wrong fuse or something. I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead and we'll put this back in. So, push these guys together. We'll stick the fuse back in. It's not polarized or anything, so whatever way it goes in, you can put it in. And there you go. So your fuse is back in. I'll go ahead and pop a little solder on there, not with a screwdriver, but with solder. Smaller solder would be better for sure, but this is what I got right now, so this is what I'm using. Make sure you inspect your joints afterwards. They should have a nice shiny finish to them, and they should be really sucked to the pad on the bottom. So we're good there. Next, we'll just take a little bit of alcohol. We'll clean that up with a paper towel, and this is a plumbing acid brush, and we'll just kind of clean that up a little bit there. And we'll start reassembly. Alternatively, you don't really have to use a brush, but it works best. Toothbrush works well. That brush works well. Or even just a paper towel, making sure you try and clean as much of that flux off as you can. I mean, you can look at this board and you can tell this flux kind of all over it, so clearly, you know, some people will say you got to get it all. Some people, well, some manufacturers don't do anything. So, all right, now it's just reverse the reassembly. And that's it. Go ahead, plug her in, make sure you put the cup on top because you got to hit that safety switch, and make sure everything still works. And that's it, and hopefully, you know, that's the issue and everything works out. It sure did for me. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. And please subscribe to the channel for some more DIY content.